You can't understand the new without understanding the old. And so when God takes you back to the Old Testament, he's not trying to subject you to the law or make you a legalist. He's trying to reveal truth to you that he gave you in the New Testament that you can't see yet. And so God took me back to the Deuteronomy 26, where he was talking about first fruits. And I was like, okay, this is an old Jewish law. Nothing to do with me. And God says, can we do this again? And so I began to look at it, and I began to see. And I had heard tithing. My dad taught me to tithe when I was 10 years old. So I've been tithing for 60 years now. Okay? But first fruits, that was different. That was when the offerings, and we got set free from the offerings. Said, oh, we don't bring bulls and goats and turtle doves and everything else to God and have them slaughtered at the front of the church by the pastor. Those days are over.
Everybody say amen. Amen. Thank God.
And so the offerings were part of that. And God said, no, this is something you have to understand. There are certain things that God gave us in the Old Testament that he says, these are mine. They're not Jewish. They're his.
Right.
And so when the church says, oh, that's Jewish. How many of you have heard of the Jewish feasts?
Yep.
You got lied to. There's no such thing as a Jewish feast. If you read it carefully, God says, these are my feasts.
Yeah, the feast of the Lord. Yeah.
Okay? They're mine. You know what the word feast means? Appointments. Aha.
That's good.
So God invites his people to his house for an appointment. And they are celebrations, so they're parties. How many of you like to go to parties?
Oh.
Not many. This is a dull crowd.
I told you they're angry elves. Okay. Very angry.
And God says, come on, 3 times a year I want you to come up, and we're going to have a celebration at my house, and bring your stuff. And part of what you bring is first fruits, an offering of first fruits. And so we explain what it means to you. In those days, what it meant was when the harvest began to come in the springtime, around Passover, the first things that broke through, God says, get a bundle of those and bring them to me as an offering. And then what you read in Proverbs, if he says, if you'll do this, you know what? Everything that you have will be blessed. Your barns will be full. I'll take care of you. Because this, even though it's in the Old Testament, is a statement of faith. Because most of us, we'll take in the whole harvest and then we'll give God some. But we make sure we got ours. Not here?
No.
You don't worry about your money?
It's true.
And God says, wait a minute. If you'll give to me first, the first thing that comes in, give it to me. I promise you that I'm bringing that harvest, a better harvest than you had last year. I'll make sure you have everything you need.
That's right.
It's a statement of faith.
Right.
You don't see the harvest yet, but you're giving them the first sight of anything that came in. And so I was like, wow. And then I was reading in Deuteronomy 26, and it talks about the tithe, and it talks about the first fruits. Understand this. The tithe is a first fruit.
That's good.
But the first fruit offering is not the tithe. It's whatever comes in first.
So while he's right there for a second, give him a break. I want to read this to you to back up exactly what he's saying. This is Deuteronomy chapter 26, starting in verse 1. It says, when you come into the land that the Lord your God is giving you for an inheritance. How many guys enjoy inheritance?
And that's the kingdom now.
More of you should enjoy inheritance, but that's fine. We'll move on. And taking possession of it and live in it, you shall take some of the first of all the fruit of the ground, which you harvest from your land, that the Lord your God is giving you, and you shall put it in a basket, and you shall go to the place that the Lord your God will choose. Just so you know, that's a place, that's why people can't just go to church wherever they want. I'm not going to let that just fly by. You don't just go to church wherever you want. You go where the Lord makes his name known and he chooses. Because if he has blessing there for you and you decide to go to one with a better program, your blessing is not there. Your better program is, And that's 50-50 at best. Okay, but that's not today's message, so let me get out of there. Where the Lord your God will choose to make his name to dwell there. And you shall go to the priest who is in the office at the time and say to him, I declare that today the Lord your God, that I have come into the land in which the Lord swore to our fathers to give us. And the priest will take the basket from your hand and set it down before the altar of the Lord your God. And then he goes on and he prays for it. That's why we don't pass a plate. That's why you saw me come up here with a basket. And I pray over that basket because I'm commanded to do this by God. And it's of the first fruit, one of the first fruits. Okay?
He just went through the first 4 steps of what I call 10 steps to hilarious giving. Yeah. You know, Paul says in the New Testament, the Lord loves a hilarious giver. So if you ain't laughing when you write the check out, you're not doing it right.
Sometimes it's funny.
If they're in pain moving that pen across, okay, God, here. He's not interested in your money. You better keep it and go get a bottle of wine and hang out in the parking lot. What he's saying is, I love a hilarious giver. You got to have joy in doing this. And when you understand the covenant that he's making with you for that lousy 10% of whatever you make, that's the best deal you'll get. There's not a stockbroker in the world that can do better for you than that. And so he's telling you do this, but he's giving you all kinds of restrictions. And they're not restrictions in the sense of you got to do this and you can't do that. It's like, this is how you get the greatest blessing. How many of you know you are not going to see Jesus after you die because you gave him 10% of your income or you brought a first fruit offering? It has nothing to do with your salvation.
Nothing to do with it.
But life is going to be a lot better here if you do what he tells you to do. Yeah. Okay? This is not legalism. It's like, well, you got to do this to be saved. No, you're saved by the blood of Jesus Christ. It's a gift from God.
Yep.
That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about the wisdom of God to make this life go a whole lot better. And so bringing this first fruit is different than bringing the tithe. There's different sets of promises that go with each one.
That's right.
And this first fruit is the one place in the Bible, it's the one offering you can give that God promised you. He promises you financial blessing for a financial gift. So he says, if you bring me the first sheaf of barley, I'll make sure you have thousands of sheaves of barley. Now, when you tithe, he tells you in Malachi chapter 3, I'll do this for you, I'll do that for you, I'll reveal my name to you, I'll protect you from this, none of your seed shall fail. He does all these other things. But in this one, he says, do this, your barns will be full. I'll bless you financially. And when I saw that, I took it to my church. And I said, listen, guys, I've learned something here I want to share with you. And if you'll go with me on this, you're going to see God do awesome things. Yeah. And so we prepared the beginning of the year. I said, depending on your faith and your finances, in January, you're going to set aside the first hour's pay if you're really struggling, the first day's pay, the first week's pay. If you're doing well, give them the first month's pay. And you can see the people's face go. One guy came and said, and I got a tithe on top of that? I was like, wow.
No, you missed it.
You're missing the point here.
You missed it.
So the people came, we took an offering. I can't remember, it was tens of thousands of dollars. And our church was about maybe 300 people at the time. And I was like, wow. Well, it was nothing compared to that next week as I began to get phone calls in my office. Pastor, after we got home from church, I gave the biggest offering I ever gave. When I got home, my mother called me and asked me to come over to the house. I went over to the house, and she said, you know, Steve, I am so sorry that we didn't help you more through college, but I really felt this morning that I ought to give you this and put a check for $10,000 across the table. Here, this is for you and your family. Other people went into work, got promotions, raises, got to buy houses that year.
Yeah.
So the second year we took a first fruit offering, guess what happened? Yeah. It got much bigger because people saw the benefits of doing it, and all of a sudden this became not a law. It became a principle to release blessing into your life. You're saying, God, I trust you.
Yeah.
I believe that 2022, you're going to take care of me. You're going to provide for my needs. Not even going to provide for me. You're going to even give me some of the things I want. You're going to just love on me and take care of me, and I can trust you totally. So I'm going to give you stuff right up front.
This is good. I want to probably speak to just for a moment, because I don't want this to feel like a prosperity gospel thing, because when I tell you, that ain't us. Is that clear? Yeah, that's not this. This is a relationship with God situation and saying, God, I want to do things to bless you. Does God need our money? No. He doesn't need a bull. He's not up there going, Michael, you got a 20? I want to go to 7-Eleven. All right, told Dan to talk about first fruits. No, he doesn't need it. What you're doing is saying, God, I trust you more than this.